menace to sobriety. Just a menace, just a menace, just a menace. Menace to sobriety.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Menace to Sobriety with your host for the most, me, Daniel O'Reilly. You'll be sad to know that I'm on my own today. The bank holiday Monday shifted us to a Tuesday. We pre-recorded this obviously for the Friday and Kirk couldn't make it, but he is coming down tomorrow to do our Menace to Sobriety live. So I'm on me lonesome today, and I know Kirk's got a lot of fans on this podcast now, so just try and put up with my beautiful face or my voice, but he will be back soon. He's my permanent co-host, so don't worry about that. Today I've got a little bit of a different podcast for you. I've had everyone on here from industry experts in regards to alcohol and drug addiction, psychologists, former addicts, I've had everyone, authors, everything, and I'm always trying to diversify it. I love having normal, average, everyday people on to share their experiences, and we've done that with people that have battered drink and drug addiction. Now, my next guest has sort of come about through previous guests that have come on. Word of mouth had spread between a couple of guests that I'd had on before, and they recommended that I got this gentleman on. He's sober. So he ticks the box, but he'd never really battled with a heavy addiction. He's sober through choice, which I thought was a really interesting perspective to go to. He's a personal trainer. He's all about better physical health, mental health, well-being. And I just thought to myself, do you know what? Let's have a bit of a different, refreshing, upbeat episode that people can take away some stuff to do while they're sober, and ways to stay sober and get some positive gems of information from him. So, welcome to the podcast, Adam Lubbs. Lubbsy, is it Lubbsy? What we say?
Yeah, Lubbsy. Keep with Lubbsy. That's it.
Lubbsy.
Great to properly meet you, brother. Thank you very much for having me on. And
you're excited, I can tell.
Mate, I'm buzzed, a little nervous, and this is great. I can't wait to get stuck in, to be honest. Yeah,
let's have a chat, man. I mean, we were talking on the way up here, and I was saying, look, I was interested in working out what perspective we're going to come from the podcast for the listeners, because I always like to sort of try and get something the listeners can take away. And from our brief chat downstairs, it sounds like, you've got a really interesting approach to this, because you, like you said to me, you never talk me through your story. Because your content online, I've had to scroll through, it's very sobriety based, but you never really battled a heavy addiction of alcohol and drugs. I'm having problems here and it looks like I'm covered in something, but my water bottle exploded. Let me just change this around. But yes, yeah, fire away. Tell us about yourself, Adam.
Well, first and foremost, I'd just like to take this opportunity to apologise to everyone on behalf of the health and fitness industry for continuing to piss what should be quite a straightforward and simple topic within the context of health and fitness up the wall, which is alcohol.
They never talk about it.
Never talk about it unless it's navigating it, unless it's the calories involved, and there's nothing ever more than the superficial, because I just truly believe that people are too afraid to raise their head above the parapet. And
that's interesting.
I mean, we can just go straight into this if you want.
Yeah,
I mean, the fitness industry has, well, I'm not sure if I'd say progressed, but it's moved on a lot over the years, and I have an interesting perspective on it all, because I was a personal trainer years before social media, and now I've been a personal trainer since social media. And one of the things about social media that has spilled into essentially my profession is the boom in online coaching, because now you are, or you can be exposed to basically everyone on the planet.
Yeah.
And if we're talking numbers game, then you need popularity. And if you need popularity, then you need relatability.
And if
you're going to come across and say, don't drink, well, you are alienating.
You're cutting out a massive part of your audience.
Massive part. Not only are you cutting him out, if you get it wrong, you're rubbing them up the wrong way, right? Which I'm sure you've appreciated, experienced in your time since you've been sober. It's a difficult topic. It's a serious topic. And so, we can talk about my story and how I became sober in a bit. But the more and more I saw, or the more and more I see, I should say, of alcohol just simply not being addressed and dismantled and almost glorified and glamorized in pursuit of followers, popularity, relatability, and ultimately money. I just feel like I have such a moral obligation and a responsibility to the world to just do what I can to just even it up a little bit, because we don't have too many things on our job description list as a personal trainer. Help people train, help people become healthier, wear shorts to work. That's about it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's a pretty good life.
Yeah.
So if this is the flak I've got to take, then fine. At least
Yeah.
when I put my head down at night, I know that I've done my best for humanity that day, and I'll try again tomorrow.
Yeah, I find it really interesting. I understand exactly where you're coming from because, you know, I've got a lot of pals that are personal trainers, and I've got a lot of friend influencers that promote gym life, bodybuilding and stuff like that. A lot of them are good pals. And on one hand there, you know, and I can't really knock it because, you know, I built my following on the sesh, do you know what I mean, and drinking and everything like that. And you're right, when I pivoted and I went sober, I've just spent the whole weekend getting abuse on my social media. You know, my friends and my family's away, right? My missus and my kids, so I've got a lot of time to scroll. You know, where I'd normally be sitting with my kids, and I was blown away by the amount of people that are like, "You're still fat," and "I bet you still get on it," and da da da. You know, because what it does is when you do talk about your sobriety or your alcohol usage or drug abuse or like me, you start showing that you're going sober, and everything that I get abuse on is either me running, working out, saying, you know, what I'm, you know, my diet, or talking about sobriety, mental health, basically me trying to progress, right? And then people that aren't, I see that, it ignites something negative in them. So if you've got an audience, I understand what you're saying, you've got an audience and then you start going, oh, by the way, drinking's bad, they're going to go, well, hold on a second, I get smashed every weekend, you can fuck off. And it's very difficult, right? But you are right. Ultimately, your industry is about healthy body, healthy mind, right? And I believe that alcohol, especially alcohol, well, drugs especially, but I mean alcohol more so across the board, is a massive cause of mental health problems for people. Huge.
Yeah, well, it's not a belief. That's a fact.
Yes.
That's a fact. This isn't, you know, I don't think that alcohol was a depressant. I don't think alcohol was addictive. I don't think...
It's fact.
That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
That's just...
People don't want to hear that, though.
They don't want to hear it, but unfortunately someone's got to say it. And, you know, I'd like to think I'm more popular than those Just Stop Oil guys, but I kind of see myself as like...
Mate,
you
yeah,
know,
definitely.
Ultimately, you know, they have their beliefs and they have their reasons why. And yeah, don't get me wrong, everyone's like, it's fucking Just Stop Oil doing my head in. But everyone's talking about it.
Yeah.
You can't deny that. Everybody's talking about it. And in 30 years' time, when the world's on fire, people are going to go, why the fuck did we not do anything? They're going to go, well, we did try, to be fair.
Yeah.
You know, and so, yeah, like I say, I'd like to think I'm not as alienating and annoying as they are. But, you know, this whole, me being in the health and fitness, just even being on this podcast, it's a joke.
Yeah.
Right? It's a joke. It should be the most boring, obvious, you know, like, why would you, well, yeah, you've got a podcast about sobriety, so we've got people that are recovering from addiction who are now sober, so that's our audience, and obviously every PT sober. Oh no, wait, they're not.
PTs aren't sober.
Do you know what I mean? It's not, I shouldn't even be here. It should just be the most, you know, if it was a smoking podcast, you wouldn't have me on.
Yeah.
You know, I've never smoked, funny enough, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm into sport and I'm into fitness, it's not been the thing, but it sums up for me two things, or illustrates two things almost better than anything. One, it illustrates just how thick the blindfold that alcohol has on society, that not even the one pocket that should be able to see through it can.
Yeah.
And I think that has deeper connotations than what we give it credit. You know, we're all, I mean, I know my Instagram is PT Lubbs, but I would call myself more a health and fitness ambassador.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And we all have ambassadors for little pockets of society and things that we're passionate about to uphold those things, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, an example I always use is my father's a conductor of an orchestra, right? Pretty niche, pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't say classical music is booming, would you?
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Right? So it's great. It's got their audience. I love it. Obviously, he loves it. Imagine if he also said, yeah, classical music's pretty boring, isn't it? You know what I mean? The ones that are left would fuck off.
Yeah.
You know, there's enough people that don't like classical music. We don't need classical musicians saying it too. There are enough people being unhealthy, promoting drink, promoting drugs. We really don't need the one pocket that's supposed to have health and fitness's back giving in as well. I just don't think that leaves society in a particularly healthy
Yeah,
place.
I get what you mean, because you always see, it's almost like, you know, a lot of these personal trainers and stuff, they're like, get cut for mobs so you can get smashed. Do you know what I mean? You know, get cut so when you got your shirt off drinking, you look great. Or it's like, you know, I can drink a certain amount of beer at the weekend, or because I've done this during the week. There's some of that, but also there's I know what you mean. It's not just what they're doing or what they're showing. It's why aren't they saying to that one audience that is demanding, you know, health and fitness and mental health advice, they're coming to them because they want to be better. Why are they not promoting sobriety?
Basically,
Yeah.
I mean, it should be number one, particularly when you think about some of the methods that people do in order to pursue a life of health and fitness. Now, I'll ask you. So you're sober in the last 10 months, but I imagine you've tried to get fit and healthy before that.
Many
right?
times.
Exactly, and always fell flat on your face.
Yeah.
But what were your sort of go-tos? You might run, but you know, I imagine you thought about what you ate. Probably carbs were like demonized.
Yeah.
You were thinking about this. You were thinking about that. And so we're considering to count our calories. In other words, track every single thing that comes into our body. You know, to make sure that we don't go over our maintenance, to make sure that we stay in a deficit to reduce fat. So we're prepared to do that.
Yeah.
We're prepared to potentially cut out carbohydrates. So we never eat fruit again. There's carbs in fruit. Brilliant. So we're prepared to do that. We're prepared to go for a 1 hour uphill steady state walk in the morning to promote fat loss in a hoodie. We're not prepared to just not drink. This is like a lazy like a lazy person's epiphany dream.
Yeah.
You just don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
You know, you just don't buy it. You don't drink it. It's like you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
It's the complete opposite of proactive.
Yeah.
Actually, when you sort of
Yeah.
when you break it down. But the other thing that it really illustrates and that really highlights and that you've already touched upon is the phrase, everyone wants to see you do well, but no one wants to see you do better than them.
Yeah, man.
And
So real.
this is when things start to get quite grim, really. You know, we're all fine supporting an addict through recovery. You know, if you think of yourself, it's the tall poppy syndrome, right? You're poppies in the field and you're all the same height. And one of you goes, oh, there must be a better view than this. And they try to poke their head up and they fucking bring them straight back down. And you go, what are you doing? You helped him. And he was like, yeah, well, he was fucking down in the dirt. He was trodden on, petals are falling off, no dramas. We'll help him a little bit. He ain't going to ever be at where we are. So that's fine. We can help them a bit because he's not going to be at... But you can't go above us. No. I hope you do well, but no. You can't do better. You can't do better than us. And that's, you know, imagine that, getting trolled for running.
Yeah.
What a world.
Yeah.
What a topic. It's amazing of all the things.
I know. Well, this is what it comes down to, unfortunately, is that, you know, I try and get my head around it all the time, but people are struggling. People are struggling. And that's how I don't respond in a negative way, because I don't mind saying it out loud. I want to be really abusive to people that give me abuse. Inside me, I'm a working class lad, right? I come from a council estate. You know, I've had a tough upbringing. Me and my mates were scrapping when we were younger. You know, I used to get into fights and everything like that. And if someone got mouthy to me, you know, I'd think there was a scrap on my hands. You'd think there's a fight. You know, you go, well, come on then, let's have it. When I get that online, I can't respond like that, because as soon as you say what you want to say online, you know, whatever, you can get banned, right? Especially me. So, you know, I've got to be like, okay, no, you know, and it infuriates me. And I've spent years building this fucking anger up inside me, where I'd just pray someone would come up to me in the street and call me a fat bastard, or say I'm an addict, so I could spark them clean out. Yeah. But I go boxing and that calms me shit down. But now, through my sobriety, I've learned that everything that I'm doing that's positive that I put out there, if someone gives me a negative response to them, it's because it's triggering something inside them. My positivity is highlighting the things they're doing wrong. So as a PT, you know, when you're saying this stuff, you know, you must always get people that go, oh, you ain't that fit, or da. You know, I guarantee you that you never get shit from people that are doing better than you or working harder than you. You always get shit from people that aren't. So now I look at it as people in pain, right? And that calms me down and helps me relate to them. And I think to myself that is why the personal training industry, or people, the PTs out there, that's why sobriety is a tough subject for them to touch on, or even cutting out alcohol to a high level, because, you know, people want to get fit and healthy, but people don't want to stop getting drunk. It is as simple as that. And it's like kind of their release. And also, like you said, it's a can of worms, isn't it? If you're saying to someone, right, because listen, I got this a lot when I said to people, and I put this video out, I was on the James English podcast and it went viral, and I got so much shit from it, where I just simply said, listen, if you're suffering from anxiety or depression, right? If you're suffering from that, right, before you go and seek help from like a doctor or anything like that, stop drinking, and then do some exercise, and then see if you still suffer with, anxiety and depression. Because I thought that I was, fucked mentally. That, I mean, I am pretty tapped in the head, but I mean, I was suffering with high bouts of anxiety and depression. Once I cut the alcohol out, my life stabilised. Do you know what I mean? To a normal degree of having your problems. And people got really upset about that, because I was like, people were like, don't you dare blame my alcohol.
Yeah. I know, they're very protective over, isn't it? I mean, if people were as into biscuits as they are into wine, they'd put you in a fucking home, wouldn't they? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I heard the other day that someone I know, that they're going to like Italy or something like that for a holiday, and like the dad is going to drive so he can bring back wine from the region that they're in. Yeah. Because of, well, I don't fucking know why.
Well, you're not only allowed to, because you can't fly.
You can't.
Yeah.
Heaven forbid you fly alcohol, but you can drive it. That's fine.
Yeah.
But if I was going to Italy with my family and I said, right, you guys get the flight, I'm going to drive over because there are these special cookies that they make over there with this special oat that they grow. People would be like, are you fucking mental?
Yeah.
Just go with, you know what I mean? So it is you can't just dip your toe in this world, which is probably what you've noticed. And actually, I would quite like to just dip my toe in it. I would quite like to just talk about health and fitness. And obviously, there is no place for alcohol and just leave it there. But there are just so many cultural, societal ties to it that you then, if you just go anything slightly deeper than the completely superficial, calorific value of a beer, you start to realise, fuck, this is so ingrained and rooted in the way in which we socialise, the way in which we celebrate, commiserate, deal with each other, be around each other, hide our insecurity. It's like, whoa, you can't, like I say, you can't just dip your toe in the water, and that's not what I've done, and that's why that's essentially why I've sort of gone down the route I've gone, because I own a gym. I work with real people every day. I'm not online, and this is what you see. You can see it in someone's eyes straight away when they've been on the piss on the Friday. They've had a good few weeks. I saw them on the Friday. They had a great gym sesh.
Yeah.
And they come back Monday, haven't had said anything. Now, I don't always call them out on it, but you can just tell. And I'm thinking, shit, this stuff is powerful. And they probably didn't even want to go out.
Yeah. What do you mean? You can just see that they're fucked.
You can just, the colour's gone from their eyes. They're just dead. They're full of poison. Yeah, you know what I mean? If you're down a bottle of bleach on Friday, you'd probably still be fucked on Monday.
Yeah.
It's not a million miles away from that. And I'm sure you can understand that. I mean, it's not just, you must look, I can't say I studied a photo of you when you were on the piss all the time.
Oh, mate, I'm completely different.
You must look completely different.
Do
you mean your eyes are sparkling? Yeah. Your skin is clear.
Better. Yeah. The first, I'm shocked even now, and it continues to get better. I'm 2 stone lighter, first of all.
Just on that, have you really addressed what you've eaten since then? Just in the 2 stone, if you asked, have you consciously addressed, or have you just
in the last 3 weeks, and it's been 10 months?
Right.
I've been losing weight, but my shape ain't what I wanted it to be. And then someone's gone, well, look, you're still eating shit, Yeah. So
but clearly less. It's like an association versus causation thing, right?
Well, yeah, it's like the alcohol made me eat so much shit.
Yeah.
To I don't know if it's like you're trying to get your fucking salt and sugars back in from the fucking booze. So now I eat less. Naturally, I just eat less from drinking less. I don't know why, but and I try to eat better, but I'm still lazy and I eat chocolate at night and stuff like that. But now I've got my head screwed into it. But really, the big change is, I mean, everyone was fucking hell, you look younger. Well, your skin looks so much. My missus always says, my missus used to say that I used to be grey. My skin would be grey. I was always pissed from the age of 16, 17. I was either drunk or, I think the longest I went in the last 20 years without being drunk was a week or 2 weeks, maybe max.
Apart from obviously the last 10 months.
10 months, yeah. And before that, a stint at sobriety before that, but I cracked. But yeah, so this 10 months has been, it's just got better and better. But I think, what was I going to say? Yeah, just on the visual aspect of it, it's the eyes. It's all in your eyes, like you said. It's your eyes, like the whiteness of my eyes. you know.
They don't lie. They don't lie. It's so interesting because you are a case study of essentially what is my methodology. Because you were talking about the drinking made me eat more. Now there's a bunch of boring science behind that. You know, you're about salt and sugar, and you're craving this, and your body thinks it's under attack, and blah. My main thing with that is that when you're drinking, you have a ceiling on your self-esteem and your self-respect, because if it was higher, you wouldn't have engaged in the activities you just have. And if it's low, then most things can get through, like shit food, like not exercising. You know, you don't, when I stopped drinking, one of the things I noticed quite quickly was I gained an almost obnoxious level of self-respect and self-worth.
Yep.
You know, and I had to really sort of be careful and try not to be a complete tosser with it, which I probably failed at.
Yeah.
But I was just like, get that. Fuck, that's not even food.
Yeah.
I don't even want to no thanks.
Yeah.
Do you want a bottle of this? You want a bar? No.
Yeah.
It's not even a discipline thing.
Yeah. Well, for me, sobriety gives you so much clarity, right? So, I know I can feel like me and my brother, our relationship has blossomed since I went sober, because he's never a big drinker. We run 10K every Sunday now.
Brilliant.
And the first for like 1K is just us both moaning at each other about our weeks or whatever, and we're really connecting. And he's been on this mad journey, because I saw him, I don't know, 6 months ago or something. We went for a meal, and I was, fuck me, I said, I don't mind saying it to him. I said, you're big, man. He was massive. His head was like a fucking medicine ball. I mean, he was big, and I didn't like it, because he's a good looking fella and that. And I said, and I think it must have, I don't know, or other people must have said stuff around him, and he was like, right, I'm doing this triathlon, and he started fasting. He's fucking lost like 3 stone or something. Like, it's mental. And now he's this slim, and he's like, mate, if I eat shit now, I fucking feel it.
Yeah.
He feels it, because he's like me. Every now and then he'll crack, and I'll be like 4 or 5 hobnobs or a fucking bag of sweets or something, and then the next day you can feel it in him, and he hates it, because the body's not used to it, I guess. And for me, the sobriety is the same thing. When I cut the alcohol out, anything that altered my feeling, my mood, the sugar rushes, the ups, the downs, the coffee, whatever, I became very conscious of it all. And what you want is to just feel fucking normal.
Yeah.
Well,
you're acutely aware now of what feeling good actually feels like.
Yeah.
That's ultimately what it is, and you're no longer anaesthetized.
Yeah.
You're no longer got this grey cloud. You're not on a come down. It's not just, people know about hangovers and the sort of the science behind the dopamine rush lasts 9 minutes. That's why when you're on the sesh, you just drink and drink.
I don't know about that.
Oh, okay.
Talk me through it.
So this is why, not obviously, I should say, but this is why the whole ice baths, which I know that you've been dabbling in as well, as they kind of go one another, and of course with the exercise as well. So when you drink alcohol, you get a dopamine rush. Okay, but the dopamine hit lasts about 9 minutes.
From a beer, say.
From a beer,
Yeah.
yeah. And we'll put it into context. 2 minutes at 2 degrees water, that dopamine rush can last 2 to 3 hours.
Oh wow!
Right. So you're looking at a 9-minute sort of dopamine hit, and then it starts to drop, and therefore by that time you're on your next one, and that's why you do get antsy when you're on the sesh. And that's why, I'm just going out for one basically doesn't work. You don't have to be an addict for that, for people to know that. You know what I mean? And so that's...
Just going to bring this back a bit.
Oh,
mate.
sorry.
Yeah, no, go on, mate.
Too loud.
Yeah, go on.
Shock, me being too loud. And so... Oh, actually, that's throwing me. What were we talking about?
No, go on. So, so when you have one drink, it takes 9 minutes of dopamine. That's why you pick up another one.
That's why you pick up another one, and so on and so on.
Yeah,
that's right. Thank you for getting me back on track. But so that's become relatively well known. I apologise for just assuming this. I'm just wrapped up in this world now.
Yeah.
But you are then essentially in a dopamine deficit for not just the next day, but for... your entire system is just down and warped. So everything...
Because you've been stealing dopamine.
Essentially. Essentially. And so that sort of, you obviously have an initial hangover where you actually feel like shit.
Yeah.
But what's going on physiologically, it lasts for days. you know, and that has a huge effect on, you know, your behavior, your mood, your motivation, etc., etc. And it's just not really the way in which you're going to kickstart anything particularly good. And I sort of mentioned it earlier about association versus causation. You can look at it face value about, you know, what the alcohol is actually doing to you. It's, you know, it's poisonous and it's this many calories and all the rest of it. Or you could look at all the associative things that come with it, like that prolonged sense of down, that lack of motivation, that poor sleep, you know, that low self-worth. And it's those things that really add up to getting yourself into a bigger hole. And really the only way to alleviate that
is to drink.
Is to drink, right? I mean, they say that pleasure is just the alleviation of pain. That's all it is, and that's why pleasure and pain have such a close connection. And actually, it was like what we were saying just earlier. You do become acutely aware of how you feel and what feeling good feels like, and when you then take a step back, again, let's go back to the conductor reference. In order to conduct the orchestra, you've got to turn your back on the crowd, right?
Yeah.
I love that one. And once you've turned your back on it, you then can't help but start just looking at everything else. You know, do that coffee in the morning, does that give me energy or does that just not make me feel fucked?
Yeah.
You know, and you look at it and you assess it. And, well, yeah, actually, it just makes me not feel fucked because I'm still going to bed at 11:30 and I'm getting up at 6. That's just daft.
Yeah.
You know, does that food actually taste nice? Does it? Or, you know, is it just alleviating my loneliness or whatever? Is it just alleviating my pain? You know, and how many of these behaviours do we participate in daily, weekly, ultimately just to alleviate pain, not to actually elevate our pleasure and our vibrancy and our sort of zest, if you like, for life.
That's so fucking interesting. It's so real as well. So basically, what you're saying is, you know, what are we doing to just alleviate this situation, the pain, instead of elevating us? Because I had it the other night. Or
just addressing it.
Yeah, or just addressing it. Yeah. I done a little podcast the other day just from my house. I don't know if it's gone out yet, but I just recorded it because I was fucking on my own. Do you know what I mean? I'd come back home and the kids weren't there, and I was procrastinating. I didn't really want to start my work, and I was just like, I'll just watch TV. And then I was watching TV, and then I got hungry, and then I didn't want to cook, and I was like, do you know what, I'm going to order a pizza. And I wasn't even that hungry. And then when the pizza came, I ate half of it and felt like shit. And I was like, why have I eaten that? And it was like I wanted something bad. I don't know why. It was like I wanted something naughty, something bad. I think because probably when my family's normally used to be away, I used to be on the sesh. But also it did feel like comfort eating. So that to me was like, what am I doing to make myself, you know, it was a really weird situation where what would have actually made me feel great is if I'd got some work done, maybe jumped on the bike, or done a little bit of a workout, had a workout, and then I would have been fucked and I would have slept instead of sat there all night watching TV and eating fucking. Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, but that's unfortunately, you know, we are a
pleasure seeking, like we seek pleasure.
Well, we seek pleasure, but we're also a cure over prevention society. It's how our medical system works, how everything works. No one's very interested in. I mean, we won't go into all of that and the corruption, and obviously there's a fucking millions of pounds to be made off sick people, and you know that's why the messaging is what it is. But the point is, and people are well within their rights to just tell me to get back in my box and just teach people how to keep their back straight on a kettlebell swing, but ultimately those things aren't the fucking issue.
Yeah.
And I am interested in just going that little bit deeper. You know, I'd say the fitness industry's biggest issue is that we indulge people's ideologies instead of dismantle them, right? So people go, I want to get in the shape of my life, but without giving up any of my favourite things. Now, the reality is...
That's because they want their money, though.
Yeah. Well, but, I mean, the public want, you know, they want to go to heaven, but they don't want to die, you know? That's the sort of...
Yeah.
But instead of... So they go to a PT and they say, right, it's usually for something like Marbella or something like that.
Yeah.
I want to get a nick, but, you know, I love my cake.
Yeah.
I love my beer, you know? And most people go, all right, fine. Well, so what we'll do is we need to work out your daily maintenance calories. We need to drop 300. So that gives you 1,800 calories a day. You can fill that with whatever the fuck you want. You hit 1,800, you'll be in a deficit. You lose fat, lift your weights, get in the shape of your life in inverted commas without giving up any of your favourite things. The angle in which that I am interested in is what makes you think those things are your favourite things if they've then led you to calling me. If they were that great, I don't think you'd need a personal trainer. My favourite things in the world aren't going to lead me to calling a personal trainer. My favourite things, my little boy Sonny, my wife, my business, my team, my cricket club, whatever it is. You know, I'm not going to end up putting on 3 stone because I love my son so much.
Yeah.
You know? And, you know, there are a myriad of examples there. And that's where the sobriety thing really sort of starts to kick in, because it's, well, why, you know, a really, really common piece of advice, which is just, it's almost going viral, and it's almost laughable. I mean, we will look back on it in the, I like it when people say in the final analysis. We'll look back in the final analysis, and a lot of these fat loss fuckwits will have a lot of explaining to do. But one of the classics is swap from beer to vodka, so you've got no calories.
I heard that.
Yeah, bet you have.
I was told that, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's true.
It's no good if you're an alcoholic, though,
It's
is it?
true. Well, it's no good if you're anyone, actually. Yeah. That's the bottom line. And the reality is, you know, I'm going to get some hate for this, but I don't care. If you're saying something like that, you're either a liar or an idiot. You either know that isn't how alcohol works. You can have your vodka slimline instead of beer, but once you've had 3, your inhibitions go out the window. Whatever plan you had at the start of the night to be good has fucked off. Now you're halfway through a picture of Blue Lagoon and you're going to be stopping off at Domino's on your way home. So your plan's completely fucked. And you either know that and you are perpetuating it to sell shit.
Yep.
Or you are an idiot and you don't know that, in which case you should just be shutting up about the whole thing entirely. You know, I wouldn't go to say as far as if you are silent, you are complicit within the industry. But if you are going to talk about it and you don't dismantle it and you don't talk about it for exactly what it is, which is an incredibly powerful, addictive drug, you're complicit.
It's so hard though, mate, because I can imagine people walk into your gym or come and say that, oh, look, I'd like to get in the best shape of my life. And you know what, actually, I've also been feeling really down and actually quite depressed. And I think I'm down and depressed because I'm fat, but I get smashed every weekend. I don't want to give that up, but I just want to work harder in the week to look better. And you say, well, unfortunately, you're probably feeling down because of the results of the alcohol, and the alcohol's actually causing a lot of your weight that you've put on. So if you want to get the way you want, you're going to have to give up the alcohol. And people just go, do you know what, this ain't for me.
Yeah, well,
and that means you ain't getting the money.
Do you know what? A lot less people say that than what you'd think. And I actually.
What do you mean? Well,
a lot less people say, well, do you know what? I'll go somewhere else then. Actually, and I can feel this sort of energy come off someone. It's almost like a relief.
They knew it.
Oh, of course they know it. I don't talk about nutrition to anyone. You're not a fucking child. You know exactly what you should eat. Now, whether or not you do or not is down to your discipline and your self-respect. But this is all internal stuff, and this is why you don't hear about discipline on Instagram. You can't sell discipline. You get it, you grow it, you nurture it by either reverse engineering it by doing things that take discipline, or just by, you know, being solely focused on, you know, executing what you know you should. That's how that happens. You know, you can talk about all the fluff and swap from olive oil to one cow spray and, you know, low fat mayo and all that guff. But that is what you're dipping into the mayo, you know, and it's why are you? And, you know, are you driven by emotion or are you driven by what you know is right? Yeah. You know, by a sort of, is it whimsical, or are you disciplined enough to see through what you've committed to? But what I was going to say is actually when you are, and this is what we've seen in our business, when you are prepared to potentially, it's almost like any relationship really. When you're prepared to be vulnerable, and obviously when we run a business, being vulnerable is potentially losing business, right?
Yeah, of course.
It's a bit like risking fourth to go for gold. That's what the rowers always say at the Olympics. You've got to risk losing to win. Yeah. Though, John F. Kennedy, doesn't matter.
Oh, that was sounding good.
No, those that dare to fail miserably will achieve greatly.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. So if I am prepared to lose your business in pursuit of truth and what I deem to be right, if we can get past that hurdle, the buy-in is 10 times more than it ever was when I was just fluffing around with all that shit.
Yeah, I can completely relate to what you're saying. I've chosen that for myself through my social media. You know, I chose it selfishly for myself because I knew that I had to talk about my journey unless I wouldn't stick to it. I'm like, you know, I got a 30-date tour coming up. I had to say yes, I can sell 30 dates. Before, you know what I mean? I had to say yes, I would to them. I'm not going to say, well, I don't know actually how popular I am. I'm like, yeah, I'll sell that out in a piece of fucking piss. And we've half sold it out before January, so I'm happy there. But I had to do the same with everything I do. Is like, it's like, you know, I hate the saying you fake it till you make it, but it's like you will it into action. So for me, I had to say to the world I'm sober, and I had to learn about sobriety and fucking do one of these sessions every week with someone and get that. And I had to share it with my audience. And as a result of that, it turns people off. But I get, like my cousin, for instance, for exactly what you're saying, you can say, like, what was it that you said? You were talking about commitment. No, not commitment. What was the other word you said? You know, where people have to... Discipline, right? So discipline is the fucking key, right, to everything. That's why I've got so much respect for people that are in good shape. Because for the last 10 months, I've worked my absolute arse off boxing and trying to lose weight and and the very last thing, the last piece of the fucking puzzle was the diet. And it's so hard because... you eat every day, right? Like, you have to eat.
Correct.
You have to eat. And to me, like, I've given everything else up. I've still got that sesh gremlin in my mind, you know. I've given up the drugs. I've given up the alcohol, the late nights, the pubs, the socialising with my friends and the fucking holidays on the smash. And have I really got to give up chocolate cake? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But I don't want to.
Not really?
I don't have to, but I'll work hard. But I mean, just trying to manage my diet. So when I look at someone that's in great shape, I'm like, fucking the sacrifice you've made, right? And the commitment to it and the discipline. And I was talking to my nephew, he wants to be a UFC fighter. Right. He wants to be a cage fighter and all this stuff. And, you know, he smokes weed and he smokes vapes and you know, and he's finding it hard to train it and stuff like that. And he's like, you know, talking to me, man, I don't know how to give up the vapes and the weed and everything. I'm like, well, I'll tell you how to do it, mate. I'll tell you what you need to do. You've got to understand that in your mind, you've just like, it's like a fucking, what's the analogy I used? It's like a skier going down a hill. Like, you know, you've created these pathways in your mind, the habitual pathways in your mind that when you get up, you do this, you do that, you do this. If you resist it and do something else instead for a prolonged period of time, you'll create new pathways, new habits. And if you stick at it for fucking long enough, like I have, I've turned down that trigger. The Friday nights where I wanted to go for a drink, I've turned it down so many times that it's like I'm reprogramming my fucking mind. And now the triggers are fewer and further between because I'm reprogramming. That's what you got to do. But that takes discipline, mate.
That does take discipline.
That takes discipline. So it's not like I can't do it. You know, I know it's fucking extremely hard for people to battle their addictions and stuff like that. And for some of us, it's harder than others. And we've got different addictions and stuff like that. But there is a way to do it, that people are doing it. And that's what I said to him. And with discipline comes. And like you say, you know, if your discipline goes from going, I'll have a few drinks, then that discipline is gone to, like you just said, to eating, to sniffing a bag of gear, to cheating, to fucking whatever, your self-worth.
Yeah, well, how you do anything is how you do everything, right?
Yeah.
I promise I didn't read a book of quotes on the way there.
I know, but we love quotes.
They're just rolling through my mind. But, you know, discipline is hard, but it's fucking way easier than being ill-disciplined. That's really hard. And that's almost like a microcosm of the drinking thing. You know, let's just park addiction, because that's obviously, that's something different. But we'll look at the middle lane sort of drinkers, if you like. Yeah. You know, people sort of like to call it a bit like what I was. I wasn't an addict. I know a few of you guests are sort of similar. Actually, when it comes down to it, you know, you're talking about the food there. Food is hard. You've got to eat 3 times a day, roughly. So you're constantly navigating.
You've got to make a choice.
You've
every
got to
time
make
you
a
eat.
choice, and you're navigating an entire industry that is desperate for you to be a fat prick. You know, it's not it's not broccoli at the end of the day. I was at 2 for 1. Do you know what I mean? It's always chocolate. It's chocolate, or it's crisps, or it's something. And they're not stupid, these people. They put it at eye line, and they put it in nice colours, and you're resisting everything. So the food is a genuine thing. With discipline, it's solved nonetheless, because discipline solves genuinely everything. But the drink ain't like that. Just don't. Done. You know what I mean? Middle lane. I appreciate if you're an
addict is different. Yeah.
That is different. I can't touch upon that.
Yeah.
I can't touch upon that subject. But
if you don't,
this is why it's not discussed, right? Because this requires everything from you. This whole journey that you've been on has come deep from within, right? I know you've tried it and all the rest of it, but I'm sure for years
I've known.
You've known, but I'm sure someone would have gone, Dan, you've got to sort this out. Or
mate, for years,
and it never happened.
No,
right?
it was like for years.
Yeah.
My dad was saying it to me fucking 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Every time I see you, you got a drink in your hand. You know?
Exactly. But so just take it. We're talking about an external voice here. So let's take an external voice that you're paying, right? And they just go, well, you've got to be disciplined, mate. And you go, how? And you go, well, like I said earlier, you can reverse engineer it a bit. You can have a cold shower. You can try and train or whatever. But it's just got to be. It's completely internal. This.
Yeah.
And you'll find your way. I've no doubt about it. But there's no book on it. There is a book on a 6-week, bodybuilding split. Great. There is an app that you can download that so happens to be mine, and you can use my free calorie calculator, and you can then sign up to my 6-week program for X amount, and I can sell that to thousands of people, whatever. But actually the key to it is all down to you, and that's why this is so rarely talked about. And of course the discipline and the drink thing is,
but I think
incredibly similar. And actually speaking about your cousin, that's actually such an interesting point, because so, as I was saying earlier, I like to sort of call myself a health and fitness ambassador as opposed to just a PT. Mainly because there are so many fucking bad ones. So I try not to put myself in it too often. But I'll give you a real life experience of why I believe it's incredibly important for us as health and fitness professionals, ambassadors, whatever you want to call it, to hold up our end of the bargain. So, a young man in my life, very close to, I won't name names, but anyone watching will know who I'm probably talking about by the end of this story. It's not important anyway. Young man very close to me went through a very difficult time, like unfortunately lots of young people do nowadays, but nonetheless, funnily enough, he dealt with it by drinking and taking drugs, which is how adults cope with it. So obviously he's going to, because he's a fucking kid, right? An incredibly sort of pivotal age as well. And the hole he found himself in was, funnily enough, a lot deeper than the one he started in because of the drink and the drugs. And it ended up so deep that he drove himself to a train station and got on the bridge, and thank fuck someone was there and walked him down, and he got back in the car and had a bit of a breakdown, and we helped. Now, obviously a complete overhaul was required in order to help navigate him and all of us sort of out of this situation. And really the first thing that needed to be addressed was the drink and the drugs, and the next one, of course, is always coupled with exercise. Now, the only person in his life that didn't drink or take drugs and exercised was me.
Fucking hell.
Right?
Yeah. The only person.
The only person. But if you look around, it's not that uncommon.
No, you're right.
Right?
It's rare.
I saw something the other day that every single family in the UK, you only have to go back, 3 generations, in every single family in the UK to find something significant, alcohol-related death, illness, drink driving.
Abuse.
Whatever.
Something. Fuck. Only within 3 generations, something.
Yeah, something.
Wow.
And then I thought, no, my family's all right. And then I thought, oh no, fuck, there is someone who's drunk drive. So, Anyway, so I was the only person. Now, I might be sounding like a bit of a martyr here. I'm not trying to come off as a martyr. But the point is, no one else was in a position at that time to say, you've got to knock the drink and the drugs on the head, and you've got to train.
Because no one was training.
No one else was doing it.
Yeah.
Now luckily I actually own a gym, so it was a bit of a dream situation. But don't get me wrong, that is where me flying the flag was, I hate to say it, but potentially life-saving. Yeah. Because people can say the right things, but if you don't,
they need to be shown. They need to be shown. Yeah.
If you don't walk the walk, then it's it's very, very difficult. Well, it's okay. I can have a glass of red and then I can leave it there. Well, most people can't do that, and I'm not even sure you can. And it's a Wednesday, and fucking grow up. You got better things to do, I think.
Yeah.
And so that to me was, I was like, fucking hell, that just makes
Just solidified
every
it.
sort of
Solidified it.
yeah, every kind of bit of resistance I've ever had, every shitty little question like, why don't you drink? Even though that's not what the question should be. The question should be is, why do you drink? And if you have your reasons, fine. I was like, that's why. That is why. And that's why this is so important, you know? And it has serious positive effects, but this over-glamorization has unbelievably serious negative effect
in the fucking personal training.
And that's just in my industry.
It's
And
mad.
that's fucking hell. That's like the one that's, you know, the whole world is trying to get you to go on the smash. You don't need the health and fitness industry to do it too. Anyway, luckily, funnily enough, he knocked the drink on the head. He knocked the drugs on the head, came to my gym every day, and 6 months later he raised over 7,000 quid for young minds by rowing a marathon and cycling a marathon.
Wow.
And talk about a fucking turnaround.
I love that.
Absolutely amazing. And, you know, as a young guy now, I'm not going to say he's sober, but do you know what I think? And I can't tell you this because it's unwritten, it's unsaid, it's unwritten, but I think he knows that I'm here just in case.
Yeah, that's nice.
And so even if it's just for him, I'm gonna keep doing this. Because the people it upsets for 5 minutes and they move on. They go complain about someone else. The people that it helps, it completely changes.
It's been so interesting, man. We run out of time, unfortunately, but it's been so interesting, and I think that it's a very important point that, you know, a lot of the people that are coming to personal trainers are coming because there's something wrong, right? They feel inadequate, and you know, you're right. It's bad. It's a toxic environment. If the true facts and, you know, and reality of alcohol abuse, or, you know, I mean, we're drinking too much, man. Even the people that think that they're not drinking too much are drinking too much. All the people around me that are still drinking are drinking too much. But, you know, I was there for fucking years. Do you know what I mean? And I don't want to be one of them twats, you know. But it's so difficult once you are out of it. I mean, I get it all the time. Shut up, you know. Yeah. Fucking hell, you know, you were worse than us. And I look at some of them and I'm like, you know, I look at some of them, I'm like I give up.
Was I?
Was I? Yeah. But I mean, you know, but
I did used to drink, just for the record.
Yeah. Why did you give up?
I'll try and keep the story short. I was a rugby player. Not professional. It was my dream nonetheless, but I was rubbish. That didn't help. But I did my knee very badly. Shot it in 2 places. And it was a genuinely hard time for me. I'd moved out, I was freshly single, and rugby was everything, and I lost it. You know, you don't go to train, you don't see the boys and all the rest of it, and I used drink to sort of get through it. And actually, the reason why I'm so passionate about it now is that I was drinking myself into a hole, and no one even batted an eyelid. They were just like,
he's just normal.
He's just normal young guy.
He's just getting pissed up. He's all right.
Pissed up. Don't worry about it. No, I was in pain, big time. And no one really stepped in. And actually, that wasn't the reason why I gave up. I just needed to flip things on its head, because I had this huge internal turmoil between, like, what the fuck are you? Are you a health and fitness man, or are you a pisshead? Because they don't go together, bruv.
Wow.
So January 1st, 2016, shaved my head, didn't drink. It was only for 6 months. But it was always open-ended. I was like, I don't need this. But 6 months later, it was... life got just unrecognisably better in every single way. You know, the compound interest of every single day actually
it's so
improving.
powerful. It's so powerful. It feels weird.
I couldn't go back.
I honestly, don't get me wrong. I have bad times when I'm on my own and through life, but I do spend majority of my time going, it feels surely something's going to go wrong soon, isn't it? Or like fucking waking up going, oh, it's all right. You know, it's very weird. Where can people find you, mate?
Instagram at PT Lubbs, although maybe I should change that to Lubbs Health and Fitness Ambassador after all that chat, but probably be a bit long. So
you're going to have a couple of PTs going, what the fuck are you doing here?
Yeah, no, bring it on, that's fine.
Yeah.
No one trolls on nobody.
But so. I'm proud of you, mate, and I think you know, I was a bit like, I wonder where this is going to go, but do you know what the beauty?
I could tell.
Yeah, when I saw you outside, I was like, listen, I wanted to get you on. I wanted to have a talk about. I'm wondering what the audience is going to get out of this. I hope it didn't.
I'm just going to talk about calories.
I hope it didn't. Yeah, that's what I thought you coming on to sell some fucking health and fitness plan or whatever, because I'm so passionate about the podcast, but also so protective over the audience.
Yeah, quite right.
And because so many people just want to tap into it and try and monetize it, right?
Yeah.
So, but fucking hell, what a beautiful load of information, and hopefully you'll inspire some of the other PTs out there to have the bottle to sort of talk about this stuff, but also a lot of information there about people that are for people that are sober curious, trying to get fit, that it might just tip them over the edge to go, do you know what, I'm going to go to full hog and really get the benefits of sobriety. So
yeah, fair play. Well, thank you very much for having me
Thank
on.
you.
And, you know, big respect to this podcast, because, you know, you could have just gone about it on your own. I appreciate there might be a bit of accountability inside, but behind it, but, you know, you're helping a lot of people, and that's not easy. Because like you say, I'm sure you get your fair share.
You piss a lot of people
but,
off.
you know, once they've sent their comment and they fuck off forever and they've forgotten about it, and the people you're helping, you're changing their lives. So.
Oh, wow. I love that. Thank you so much, man. I'm going to put your Instagram on here. Go give him a follow and check out what he's doing. I guess you're helping people as well. People can contact you and use you.
Yeah, well, as long as you're close to Henley. Yeah. But yeah,
I love
absolutely.
that.
But I'm always on the end of a DM if.
And that was
if
brave,
anyone
man.
needs
That was
it.
really brave. I love that. And I love what you're doing. And I'm going to stay tuned, man. But thank you, Adam.
I appreciate that. Thanks so much.
Cheers. All right, guys, I think that is it. Let's get the camera on me here. Thank you very much for tuning in. Really interesting, man. I love this. I never know where the podcast is going to go. We've got such a variety on here. Let us know your thoughts, your comments and everything. Make sure you give him a follow. That's his Instagram. It should be on there now. And yeah, all good, positive information. Take it on board. I love the stuff about discipline. That's such a huge part of my journey now, and something that I'm trying to conquer every day. Getting up, getting my fitness in, the discipline of not drinking, and now the hard one, trying to eat right. It's fucking...
You got it, mate.
It's fucking hard work. I'm never giving up the hobnob, so I'm just putting that out there. Thank you very much. Sharing is caring. Send this podcast out. Leave us a comment. That was another episode of Menace to Sobriety. Thank you. Hello. We are going to take the Menace to Sobriety to the live stage, and we need a live studio audience to interact with us, to come along, listen, laugh, and learn everything about sobriety, mental health, well-being, and just come along for a night out with like-minded people. We are going to be going live on the 30th of August, 27th of September, 25th of October, and the 29th of November. That's one a month. Get your tickets now. Come down, meet the team, and have some fun. Menace to Sobriety Live, coming soon. Oh yes, and don't forget, if you want to come and see me live and meet me, I'm going on tour. The Daniel O'Reilly Out of Character full UK tour kicks off in January 2024, and tickets are on sale right now. I'm going to try and get out and meet as many of you as possible, and of course, I'm going to be bringing the laughs all over the UK. There's 23 dates right now, and I'm adding more all the time. Hit the link in the bio and get your tickets now and come have some fun. If you're going through a tough time at the moment, please don't suffer in silence. Feel free to pick up the phone and contact any of these helplines. I personally, myself, at one of my darkest points, contacted the Samaritans, and it completely changed my outlook and got me out of a really deep, dark place. A problem shared really is a problem halved. So if you don't feel confident talking to those around you, check out any of these organisations and give them a call. This is my Facebook group. Just simply search on Facebook, Men and Their Emotions. It's for men only, but once you're in there, you can talk anonymously about your problems and help others and just feel a little bit of community. So come join the conversation, Men and Their Emotions, on Facebook. Thanks for watching.
Menace to sobriety. Just a menace. Just a menace.